Hey everyone, and welcome back to I think it's gonna be the third episode of the Curiosity Complex. I am so excited about this particular episode because, as promised, it is the first guest. This guest is amazing. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, apologies if you hear background noise of dogs barking. My dog does not leave me alone. It's really annoying when she's trying to get into the room. So I apologise for that. Yeah, without further ado, really, really excited. I'll let my first guest ever introduce himself.
Hi guys, I'm Nat. Nice to be here. Great to be here today. My name is Nico. I'm 24 years old. I'm originally from Germany, and currently I'm working as a marine biologist out in the Seychelles on a teeny tiny island in the middle of the jungle.
Sick, sweet. That's a sick job. What are kind of your other interests outside of that amazing job?
We went to uni together. We played American football together there, so that's always a big thing for me. Like playing it, watching it.
True.
Obviously, couldn't do a lot of that lately, like with no Wi-Fi and no TV.
Yeah.
No, apart from that, I always loved sports, going to the gym, playing a bit of soccer when I was younger, and then obviously diving, photography, videography, anything really I can get my hands on, I can try out and do out in the open.
Yeah. Sweet. Perfect. Okay. Well, I guess the point of this podcast today, this episode at least, is to talk about firstly Nico's advice and potentially mine on finishing uni and what it's like to try and find jobs and things like that. And I personally am really curious about Nico's job, so I think if we have a chat about that, that'd be really interesting as well. So let's get started. First question of the day, bang it out. What is the best piece of advice that you can give for someone coming out of uni?
The single best piece of advice I'd say is be prepared to be organized. Because obviously in uni you can do whatever you want, like you chill with your mates, you go to lectures or you don't. You're last minute for all your deadlines, go out when you shouldn't. And I think obviously when the real life is catching up to you and you have to get a job, you have to be organized. It might be a little bit of a shock for a lot of people. Yeah, so just like get applications out early, write them up as soon as you can, really, and just prepare to grow up really and mature.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned applications there. Have you got any advice about writing applications and applying for different jobs?
Yeah, like I think applications, obviously, it's really, really important to make sure you identify your skills, like what you can do, soft
Yeah.
skills, hard skills. And with that, university will help you as well. Like they always have workshops and stuff. And just make sure you get them out early. If you graduate in July and you want to start working in July, August, obviously, if you start applying in June with absolutely everyone else, people will get like hundreds of applications in for the same job. But then if you just do it in January, February, March, even a couple months early, make sure you let them know when you graduate. Put up all your experience, put anything in your CV and your cover letter, and then just let them know early that you're interested. And most of the time, people will get back to you.
Yeah.
And even if they turn you down, like ask for the reasons why. Ask what skills you need, what experience you need to get, and that helped me massively. I always ask if I send out a job application, I didn't get it. I'm always like, oh, could we just explain in 2, 3 sentences why I didn't get it and what I should do in the future, to obviously avoid that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah, sweet. Perfect. So I think you make a good point there, to be fair. Like the uni workshops for making CVs and things like that are so useful, and no one really that I've heard of actually uses them. And the people that run them
Yeah,
do that for a living, and it's really important to get a good CV. People just think, you chuck it down in a Word document, but the layout of a CV is actually way more different than you'd expect a lot of the time.
yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important, a really good point to kind of use the people available to you because they are free most of the time at university. So it's like, why wouldn't you use it? I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess the next question is, what challenges did you face when you personally came out of uni?
Um, it was obviously a bit of uncertainty for me. It was I applied early and I got the job before I even graduated. So obviously I had to make the choice not to go to graduation ceremony, which I personally think is nice. You've got your robes on, you see your friends, family, and everything.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, it's just a lot of money to rent a gown and stand there to shake someone's hand that you don't. Anyway, so
I'm sad feelings about
that's a different story. Sorry for another day. No, I definitely say it was hard to obviously get that structure and get into work life. Like I said, at university, you live with your best mates that you've known for probably a couple of years. You kind of got your routine. You can do what you want whenever you want. You go to lectures. You have maybe 2, 3, 4 lectures, or you sit in the library. And if not, you can just go out and do whatever you want, even during the week. Even going out. And obviously at work, you probably won't have that much freedom. You either have your 9 to 5, or maybe like I do, I've got obviously a quite specialized job. But it's just getting used to a completely different routine. That was massive for me. Yeah, that took me a lot of time to get into, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. So you got this job out. What's the company called in the Seychelles?
Oh, I'm working for Global Vision International. It's like a volunteering company. They've got projects all over the world. They're volunteers. They come over, they join the programs, and they either do community work, they do work in terrestrial or marine conservation, where they do surveys, gather data. We show them how to do everything. And it's basically long-term monitoring of different ecosystems that we do.
Yeah, oh, that sounds sick. So what was like the journey that got you into that? Because that's like the dream job. You know, like I mean, me and one of my housemates were saying, like, it's just one of the dream job. You live on a beach, man. Like the amount of profile pictures you
Yeah,
have, you diving in clear waters, and there's beaches and palm trees, man. It's ridiculous. Like, that is the dream. Like, life is a beach for you. And I was just
it is.
wondering, like,
Yeah, it really is.
how did you get to that job? What led you to getting to that job when you came out of uni?
Yeah, I think I guess it was a mixture of luck and obviously like uni results and experience and stuff. So before like starting off before uni, how I actually got into it all, I started diving when I was like 10 years old together with my dad. So I always loved diving, loved the oceans,
Oh,
the
yeah.
marine environment, always super interested in that aspect. And then I first volunteered with GVI. So I was one of the guys that I now teach 6 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, literally, I think it's actually in like 2 weeks is my sixth year volunteering anniversary.
No way, that's sick.
Yeah, it's ages ago. And yeah, so basically after school, took a gap year, got into that a little bit more, like made my dive master, which is a professional diving qualification where you learn how to teach divers, lead them on their dives. Yeah, and also got my coral reef research diver, which is a big thing that I definitely helped me because you learn how to survey reefs, different animals living on there. Yeah, so I definitely say that was obviously the stepping stone. Afterward, went to uni, like we went to Bangor together. Yeah, so Bangor is in North Wales for anyone who doesn't know that. A really good uni for marine biology, big department there, loads of nice stuff. So I did marine biology and zoology there for 4 years, did my integrated masters, and then graduated last year. And yeah, as I said earlier, literally went straight back out to the Seychelles and got a job there. Again, I applied early for it, got turned down. Obviously, straight away, as I said, messaged them back and I was like, "Oh, how come? Like, I've volunteered with you guys. I've got a master's. I've got all of this. Like,
Yeah,
why can't I get a
yeah,
job?"
yeah,
Um, and it was just the reason they said that someone else took it internally. They were there as an intern and they were ready to take it, so they didn't have to sort the visas and everything. So
yeah.
that's
Fair.
often the case that they don't have to obviously take someone in from outside. Um, yeah, so had that and got the next one. They offered one straight away afterwards. They were like, "Oh, we've got another position coming up in a couple of weeks, but obviously we can interview you for this, and then can hopefully offer you that job." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Sweet!" Got the interview like a week later, and then got
yeah.
offered the job.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect. So you make a good point now about asking for feedback after you get turned down.
yeah.
Is that something you'd recommend for people to be doing?
100%. Obviously, don't be like, "Oh, why did I not get this? You should hire me." Like that approach. Obviously, say thank you for your time, thank you for your honesty, and just say, "Would you mind giving me some advice on what skill I can get, or what experience I should acquire, if I was to apply to a similar position or apply here again in the future?" And then most of the time, people will definitely help you. Like if
Yeah,
they obviously email you back anyway and saying you don't have the job, then they're just going to get back to you and send you 2, 3 sentences, and that definitely helps. Like I would 100% recommend that.
yeah, perfect. Oh, that's really good advice, I think. So what about? Obviously, you said you got turned down. Is the way Was that quite disheartening for you? Did you have to pick yourself back up, or was it more a case of ask for the feedback and go again because you were confident you could get that job, sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it a bit of both, I guess. Like when I sent out applications, obviously GVI for me was the thing. I was like, oh, I want to go back there. I was there before, best time of my life. Diving, like you said, diving, living on the beach, living the dream.
Yeah, man.
So obviously applied there, and that was the only job I applied to when I applied in January. Obviously, putting all my hopes into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then I spoke to my mom, and she was like, "What is wrong with you? Why would you only apply for one job? Like it's so silly." Like she was so
Your
angry,
mom's a
actually.
wise woman.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, I've got a good feeling, you know." Obviously, got turned down, and she was like, "Well, I told you so." And then afterwards, she just like got myself together and sent out 2, 3 applications every day. Looked at different jobs like all around the world for my field. Literally from the British Antarctic Survey all the way to the Caribbean to Indonesia, literally everywhere.
Wow.
And I think it's a big thing to send out as many applications as you can because it's always better to turn someone down than to not have anything, obviously, after university and no jobs and stuff. And
Yeah.
I had to end up turning another job down that I got offered like 2 days before I then got offered the job from GVI the second
Wow.
time around.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so obviously that was hard as well. I mean, it's a really awkward situation because someone obviously wants to hire you, they want you to work with them,
Yeah, yeah.
interview and everything, and you have to be like, oh, I'm sorry, but I found a better job. That's always awkward. So
Oh,
just prepare yourself for that as well.
savage. That's cold, man.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I know you've just finished that position with GVI, haven't you?
I have indeed. Yes, it was a bit of a bumpy ride these last 2 weeks. I signed my extension in May.
Yeah.
Um, just had my 1 year anniversary there. In June just now, and obviously signed a 1 year contract extension because I was like, I'm not ready to leave. Mentally, like it's so nice here. It's what I
Yeah.
always wanted to do, diving every day, seeing all these crazy animals.
Yeah.
But I always had in the back of my head, I always want to like improve further. I want to do a PhD down the line, and obviously the more experience, different experience you can get, the more you then know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Like at the moment, I only know about coral reefs, but maybe I'd like to do something, maybe like spatial stuff of like sea, ocean floors and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, I ended up again sending out job applications
Yeah.
and got a job offer from a company called Necton, which is a deep ocean research institute based in Oxford. And I'll be moving over there very soon in
No
October.
way.
Yeah,
Oh,
and gonna be doing some crazy ocean exploration.
that is absolutely crazy. Do you know whereabouts in the ocean you'll be going?
Yeah, so I've through GVI I had the opportunity to go and join them for 2 weeks when they were in the Indian Ocean in the Seychelles. They were on all the outer islands, and you have to like imagine they are 1,000 kilometers away from the next island, just like dotted around.
Yeah.
Um, no human population there, so it's literally
Oh,
just
really?
like pure
Yeah.
nature. So we went on this big research vessel and just went down. And yeah, the next ones they're going to be around the Indian Ocean as well. Maybe in the Maldives, maybe somewhere else. I'm not quite sure, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be somewhere crazy in
Oh,
the somewhere in the Indian Ocean.
that is so exciting. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So, you mentioned you were working in the Seychelles for just over a year. Um, what was
Yeah.
what you kind of you delved into it a bit, but what's a bit more detail on like what you did? Because obviously you're a marine biologist, but were you doing sampling stuff with coral reefs, or what was it more like teaching the volunteers how to take samples? Was it kind of something similar to that, or was it less of research based and more of something else?
Yeah, so obviously people often think that what we do is, like you said, not that much researchy, a bit of like
Yeah,
a little holiday that people can go on.
it does look like
Um,
a holiday. I'm not gonna lie.
it does look like it, yeah. But we've got 15 years of continuous monitoring data, which is like
Wow.
second to almost nowhere in the world.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing.
what we do is we do like we go diving like 2, 3 times a day. Um, and then teach our volunteers how to identify different species. So some of them might learn coral, some might learn fish,
Yeah.
others will learn invertebrates, or any crustaceans or octopus or anything like soft or shelled that's like creeping about.
Creeping
Yeah,
about. Is that a marine biologist technical term by any chance?
that is literally is, mate. It literally is. Yeah, so we ID them, teach them how to ID them, how to identify the different species, and then show them how to monitor things. So all our surveys they are done in situ, which basically means we write down what we see, and
Yeah.
then analyze it afterwards. We don't take any samples or anything. We literally just
Oh, right. Okay.
we're very non-invasive, just looking around, writing down what we see, and then analyzing it afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sweet. Well, before we get into the whole more about your Seychelles job, I do want to just have a short interlude where I thank everyone. Firstly, thank you, Nico, to coming onto the show and helping me out, being my first guest.
My
Um,
pleasure.
and also thank you to everyone who's listened to my intro episode and then my second episode, which I posted recently about optimism, which was just me talking in one take. I think it went pretty well, but I am really, really looking for loads of feedback. So if you've got ways that I can improve what you heard on my second episode, please let me know. Same for this episode. If you think there's ways that we can improve this, we're doing this through Skype currently. I'm just kind of recording the call and I put it into this app and it goes from there. But if you've got any feedback on how to make it any better, please let me know. Also, a big shout out to the people that are listening in Finland and Switzerland, because that is mental. So yeah, yeah, it's crazy. There's people in Finland listening and people in Switzerland listening. So it's good. We're in. Nico's in Germany currently. I'm in the UK. We both went to uni in Wales in the UK. But yeah, it's a pretty cool. I mean, Mr. Worldwide, not quite, but close.
Yeah,
Um,
again.
Getting there, yeah. So let's move on to the all about the Seychelles job. I think one of the things I want to know are some of like the best moments you had there when you were working there.
Like in for GVI, like we had days we saw manta rays, we see whale sharks, and obviously that's like one of the
That's
most incredible
amazing.
things that you can see. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, a few years ago they used to be very common, but I think due to a lot of fishing, bycatch, and just climate change, the oceans change a bit, the seasons change.
yeah,
They kind of disappeared for quite a while.
yeah.
So around where we are based is always amazing. Like I think we saw 3 whale sharks the last year,
Wow.
and like a few manta rays, 4 manta rays, oceanic ones as well, which are like unheard of around the inner
Yeah,
islands where we work. So that's always incredible. Like you never know when you jump in, you never know what you're gonna see, and every dive is always gonna be different. So it's always amazing.
yeah. I bet. So so there's a funny story. Obviously, the way you lived, as we mentioned, you were your beach was what, like 2 minutes walk away, and
Yeah,
you were living practically in a shack in the jungle for
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
masters. Um, what kind of the how obviously you mentioned the outer islands don't have people on, isn't populated by humans. How populated? You were on the main island, right?
Yeah, so the Seychelles have got about 120 different islands,
Jesus,
and
no idea that was that large. Oh my god.
yeah, man, it's loads. It's crazy. I mean, there's loads of little teeny tiny ones.
Yeah,
But life centers around the what's called the inner islands on the plateau, the granitic plateau. So it's quite shallow water around them.
yeah,
That's where the main island Maha is, where I live, and then there's Curious, Ladik, Pralin, all slightly bigger islands. Like some of them, they don't even have cars on them. You just walk around. They're that
wow,
small.
yeah,
So that's where like 90% of the population lives. And then you have the outer islands like Estove, the Roche, Poivre, like with all the fancy names, but there's no one there. They're mostly uninhabited.
yeah. So how much interaction did you have with like the local people? I remember you told me a story of some guy tried to steal from your like
Oh
complex.
my God,
You
yeah.
tried to chase him down in the jungle. That was funny.
I mean that was obviously like the worst kind of interaction that we had.
Yeah,
I mean we have a school session where we teach a primary school around marine conservation once a week. We go to different resorts to partake in coral transplantation and nurseries. So it's all like obviously with the different agencies we have a lot of stuff. And the people in general, they're super friendly. Like they're always smiling, they're always happy. There's a
yeah,
proper like kind of island life culture around
yeah,
there,
yeah,
um, which is obviously amazing. Once you get like stuck into that, like is great. Honestly, it's really 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 great.
yeah,
But yeah, like you said, I mean, I came home one day from work, and we live in the middle of the jungle, so there's literally nothing going on there.
yeah,
But obviously, people know that there's a lot of basically volunteers from around the world, probably with a lot of money coming there, living there. So yeah, we had a guy trying to steal from us that we had to chase off through the jungle and called the police and everything, which is crazy.
that is
And
pretty
I
crazy. fair.
I mean, it happens a lot, unfortunately, not a lot anymore because obviously we put some barbed wire up and stuff, and obviously secured our windows with some stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. The minimum wage is not obviously high down there, so people struggle sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of fishing tourism going on. But yeah, I guess if you can't find a job, you've got to somehow survive. So unfortunately, yeah, that we had that once or twice where we had people that tried to steal from us. But I think it's obviously the same anywhere in the world. Like,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
yeah.
All right, well, what on the flip side of all of this, what were some of the challenges that you faced when you were out there and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, obviously we're living where we are is beautiful. It's a secluded bay. It's a national park and a marine park. So that means there's no cars allowed in. The road that leads there is like about a 5 to 10 minute drive from the nearest little town,
Yeah.
with a few shops and stuff. And then to the next city, to Victoria or Bovalang, which are like the main cities on the island, it's like a good 45 minutes to an hour in the car. So like remoteness, isolation is a bit like it gets to you after a while. I mean, after work, you don't really like jump in the car and go to town for a beer or something, just
Yeah.
because you will do a 2 hour round trip just for a beer. So we might go to the cinema maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, but it's not like, oh, we finished work, let's just go and chill in town somewhere, or like go there, see this, go for a meal out. So that's definitely something that kind of gets to you. And we don't really have Wi-Fi as well. We've got work Wi-Fi, but it's just too pricey, which is a joke as well. If you think that people are not earning a lot of money there and Wi-Fi is that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Obviously, you have to kind of like deal with your mobile data as good as you can, so you can Skype your parents and everything, your friends and stuff, which is hard. Like, it's not isolation by itself because you live in a big group of like 20 to 30 people, but it's the fact that you just can't go out and nip to the shops like as much as you would like to, or if you live in the town.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I can see why that'd be challenging. Obviously, you're kind of, I guess sometimes you get on top of each other's backs a bit. You know, you living in that kind of close proximity with nothing else to do, you can sometimes tempers might fray, things like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So you mentioned Nectar. You went out with them on a deep sea exploration whilst the Seychelles.
Yes.
I would absolutely love to hear all about that.
That actually is one of the funniest stories like I've ever personally experienced. Like the way it came up was that they needed someone that could ID coral species because someone had to leave because of a family emergency. And then basically they asked my big boss, my head manager, for help because they had someone on board that knew GVI, and they were like, oh, if you need someone GVI, will definitely be able to help. So they asked him. He asked my boss on base, who was leaving the company because he got a different job offer somewhere. So he was like, oh, I can't do it because I've got this handover. I'm not allowed to leave.
Yeah.
Then our science coordinator, so my science kind of manager, she was away somewhere. So it came down to me, literally through like a lot of different instances and luck, really, in the end.
Yeah.
So they asked me, and I think my boss asked me on a Monday, and it was like it was April 1st, and he was like, hey, do you want to go on this deep ocean research expedition and like dive in submersibles like to 200 meters and do all this crazy stuff? And I was like, hey, mate, it's April 1st, like, go on. I ask me again tomorrow. And he's like, no, I'm genuinely being serious. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I would literally just put it off as a joke. But then obviously I got a bit intrigued, and I was like, is he actually made all this up, or is there any like basis behind it? Because he was like, oh, they're going to email you tomorrow morning and then you can go on Thursday. And I was like, oh, whatever. So like I literally just put it off, and then I was lying in bed that night and I was like, right, hang on a second. So Googled Necton and stuff. And then literally saw that they were in the Seychelles at the moment. They were doing all this crazy stuff. I was like, nah, that can't be real. He's got to be messing with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so got an email literally the next morning, and they were like, oh yeah, you will be flying out to Alphonse, which is like 500 kilometers away, by a little teeny tiny plane. Transfer over to the ship, go around all these different islands, do all this stuff. Are you in? And I was like, are you joking?
I'm definitely in. Jesus Christ.
Definitely in. Yeah, so I had like a day to go to town, get all my medicals, my seafarer's medical, like safety boots and equipment and everything. And literally the next morning, like got up and flew on a plane to a teeny tiny island in the middle of nowhere and jumped on the ship. It's crazy. It's absolutely mental.
That's mad. So what kind of things? So you say you dive to like 200 meters?
Yeah. So the submarines, the submersibles, they call them, because they're obviously not submarines itself. So they specialized little subs that they can dive down to, I think, about 250 meters. So it's a case of, we have a pilot, we have a co-pilot, and then you were able to co-pilot with them. So they basically do everything by themselves. And what they did is they tried to do deep ocean research. So they wanted to see what's kind of below the deep ocean. What's below coral reefs, up to like 500 meters of water. And that's why they put the subs in. They had a remote robotic vehicle, an ROV, that was cruising around down to 500 meters. So they could literally in increments see everything from 500 up to the surface with divers where we came in.
Awesome.
And they just needed someone to help them with the coral reef aspect, do some video surveys with different underwater video equipment. I got to jump in one of the subs. We dived to 80, 90, 100 meters, something like that. Which obviously is crazy. Like, you sit in this little teeny tiny glass bubble, and you just cruise around, and you we saw a school of like sailfish, swordfish coming overhead. On other dives, they saw 10 mantas swimming together in formation, hammerheads. That's like loads of crazy stuff. It was unreal. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've talked about all of these incredible animals. What is your favorite animal in general?
I gotta say, I've never seen one, unfortunately. But it's got to be the tiger shark. I really, really want to see one. They're super, super rare because they're super overfished, very threatened at the moment. I think they're definitely endangered of going extinct. But you can see it in almost every ocean in the world. But I've never been lucky enough to see one. So I hope one day I get the chance to see a tiger shark. Like, awesome. Big shark, tiger stripes on it. Doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm a shark fan myself. I love a good hammerhead.
Oh, yeah.
So what was the best animal that you saw when you were working in the Seychelles?
I'm gonna say whale sharks. Obviously, everybody was like, why would you not say whale shark? I've seen them before. I was very fortunate. I saw them before. When I was snorkeling, we saw a few of them. We did this like snorkeling trip back in the day.
Yeah.
So we saw like 6 of them just swimming around together, which was ridiculous. And like, that's
pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unheard of, really. And that was literally one of my favorite moments. Like, I remember every minute of it. Of this like 3-hour trip, and it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because obviously, like, people say, "Oh yeah, they're really big." They are massive.
Yeah,
they are huge, right? I'm not like exaggerating here. Compared to yourself, were they like absolutely massive?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got to think, like, it's always having you say, oh, a shark is 6 meters, 10 meters, or however long. It's always like, oh, how much is that?
Yeah.
But it was like the size of our dive boat. Like, we've had a small speed boat, so longer and wider than your average car, I'd say. Yeah, so it was mad. It was absolutely crazy. And they came up to the boat within like a couple of meters. And obviously you shouldn't touch any marine life just because it's normally bad for you or bad for them. But yeah, we literally had to avoid them because they were so curious. They were just swimming around, minding their own business, feeding. So you just have to swim out of their way, because obviously if like an animal weighing a few tons is coming through, you just need to move. But yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, I definitely recommend, if anyone ever has the chance to see them, if they're on holiday somewhere and they're in the area, definitely do it. Lifetime experience.
Yeah. So you've touched on it a couple times. Moving into more kind of current issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes for a lot of the time, mantas, we're frequently see them, now they're not, and that sort of thing. Obviously, the big. I'm not going to let you on this podcast talk about marine biology and not talk about the whole plastic thing that's going on.
Yeah.
So what was your experience of plastic when you were out there?
I mean, not as bad as you think, and as it might be in some areas. But for us, it's a lot of seasonal stuff. Where we are on this side of the island, we only get the onshore winds during 6 months of the year, where we get a lot of plastic washed into the bay. Like, you drive out and we constantly swerve around with the boat, either avoiding stuff or picking stuff up, like bottles,
Yeah.
absolutely anything. And if you see it as well, it's like it's not from the Seychelles. It's definitely from somewhere else.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the problem is the Seychelles, they're like 2,000 kilometers away from the nearest mainland. So it's a big issue if you think that plastic can travel that far.
Yeah.
And you see
Well,
it on the surface, you see it on the beach, you see it when you go diving. It's literally everywhere, and it's very annoying and it's very
well,
bad for the environment.
like you say, that's only from 6 months of the year, so places that would get it constantly must just be horrific.
Yeah.
Did you ever
There's
notice it affecting like wildlife?
Yeah, 100%. We were very fortunate that we've never seen anything that got entangled or ingested or in any way like that.
Yeah.
Personally, but in the last, I think, a couple of weeks, there were two stories that came around the Seychelles. I mean, the island is very small. It's like 30 kilometers long, so obviously it's a small island. And on the east side, so on the opposite side, they had a big loggerhead turtle, or
Yeah.
leatherback turtle even, that got caught in a fishing net or a fishing line, and they people jumped in. They filmed like someone filmed it with a GoPro, and they jumped in and cut it loose and then released it. So that
Yeah.
was like crazy,
Yeah.
because you never really see them around the inner islands anyway. And then the fact that you see one of them and it gets entangled into something straight away is shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then even worse was they had a whale as well, a whale and a calf, which are basically never really seen around the inner islands. You sometimes get them in the outer islands where they migrate through. But yeah, around the inner islands, then they're unheard of. And this whale basically surfaced next to this boat and literally asked people for help because it just stayed on the surface, and they jumped in. And it took them like 3.5 hours to cut all the fishing net off that mother of the calf. Yeah, it was crazy. It was very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Luckily, there was people around, but obviously, if not, then not only the mother would have died, but the calf as well. And if you think big animals like that, they take years to reproduce, so it's
Yeah. Yeah.
very bad.
Oh, Jesus. Well, you
Yeah,
mentioned as well, obviously plastic's not the only plastic part of the issue, but also
yeah,
like you said, climate change is affecting how species reproduce.
yeah,
Uh, that one of my housemates did a really interesting study. Where he was looking at the really interesting studies about how turtles lay their eggs on the shore, and if the shore is, a higher temperature than the eggs, it dictated like the sex of the eggs is dictated by the temperatures.
yeah,
So
exactly.
if it's higher than like 32 degrees or something, then all the eggs are female, and you've got no males to reproduce with, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the issue. Yeah, if it's too warm, then there will only females be spawning, and obviously, if you have that generation after generation,
Yeah,
the problem with turtles, they always come back to their same beach. And that's
yeah,
why there's always a balance of males, females coming back. If there's obviously only females coming back in 20 years, they're not going to be able to reproduce anymore.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
did you see? Obviously, you're only there for a year, so you didn't have that prolonged period of time to kind of analyze it all. But was there
Yeah.
any? Did you see any kind of changes in the numbers of things you were seeing or the behaviors they were showing? Anything like that?
Yeah. So for us is we've had a bleaching event lately in 2016, and we've had a small one this year again, which is a
Yeah.
bit alarming because they're coming closer and closer together. But we saw a massive reduction in coral cover by almost 80-90%.
Wow.
Yeah, we saw fish is not really, it's still quite healthy, and they always take a few years to reflect those changes of the substrate. So that's
Yeah. Of
still
course.
normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Plastic wise, I mean, it's getting better. The Seychelles, they banned plastic bags, they banned plastic straws.
That's really good.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
everything is moving to biodegradable now. So we're definitely getting somewhere there. Um, yeah, and then lastly, the beach cleans. Like we do beach cleans every now and then. It's during the onshore winds. It's a lot. Last time we had 130 kilos of trash that we collected within like an hour.
130 kilos.
Yeah, it was like
Oh
I think
my.
25 bin bags worth,
What?
which is yeah, it's ridiculous. It's really, really, really bad.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, but no, apart from that, it's getting better. Like the reef is slowly recovering, and it always takes time. Like the organisms, they only grow some like a few centimeters or millimeters a year, so it does take a few years. But we see a slow recovery setting on this year. So we're definitely getting somewhere, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. That's amazing to hear. I mean, it's horrible to hear in the first place, but the fact that there's changes being made and
Yeah,
they seem to be working. That's perfect. That's really good to
yeah,
hear. So obviously you mentioned, you're going to Oxford and you're going to be doing the kind of deep sea stuff with Necton.
yeah,
Uh, would you recommend a career in marine biology? Because obviously you said there was a lot of luck involved
yeah,
in, 'cause you worked with GVI for 6 years or so volunteering, and then you got the job with them eventually. Would you say there's a lot of luck involved in a career in marine biology? Would you like recommend it for people to be doing, or is it more a case you think it's kind of quite a difficult one to get into?
I would say, yeah, it's hard. It's a very competitive field. You have to make sure you commit to it 100%.
Yeah, that's
If
good advice.
you with different jobs, yeah, like with different jobs, I mean, it's a case of you can work anywhere. You can work anywhere in the UK, in Germany, Scotland, Wales, whatever you want to do. But obviously with something marine related, and if you want to do something on coral reefs or anything tropical, that's where it gets really, really competitive, because you have to have not only a good degree, like you need to get your shit together. Sorry to say it that way, but you need to get a good degree out of
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Um, out of uni to obviously put you ahead of a lot of other people. And then with that, whatever more qualifications you have, whatever skills you have, that will definitely put you on the top of the pile. Like for me, I had a very good masters. I had my dive master, my coral reef research diver, had that volunteering experience, a boat
yeah,
license.
yeah,
So I ticked and more. I ticked all of the boxes they had for the job and more.
yeah,
So I was lucky enough to get hired. But obviously, if you don't have that experience, have those skills and those qualifications, that's where it gets tricky, and that's when you probably need to look at maybe volunteering for a little bit after or during university, where you can just get a little bit of extra experience. 4 weeks is completely fine during summer,
yeah.
and then you will be able to get those jobs. One of my friends just now got a job in the Maldives after she completed her bachelor's, her master's, couldn't find anywhere, did a 4-week internship in Mexico, and just got an amazing job in the Maldives just because of that internship. They
Yeah, yeah,
referred her. So it definitely is a lot of who you know, and yeah, who you know and how to get involved with stuff. 100%. Like I would definitely recommend it because it's an amazing job. There's definitely crazy jobs like what I've been doing for the last year. There's loads of stuff like that out there. You just
yeah.
need to be committed enough to your career to go and get it.
Sweet. That's good advice, I think. Yeah, perfect. Like you gotta just go and be 100% into it, and then you should be all right, sort of thing. But
Yeah,
it's like most
definitely.
things. If you go in half cocked,
Yeah,
not really gonna not normally gonna pan out your way a lot of the time.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get a bit deep on you here. How did your experience in the Seychelles shape you as a person? Did it change you at all?
Oh, yeah, I would say yes.
Sorry.
Oh, that was deep. Didn't expect that. Um, I would definitely say yes. I mean, if you live in the country itself is a beautiful country, but you see a lot of poverty. And where we live, like we don't have Wi-Fi 24 hours a day. Um, you should obviously you share your bathrooms. There's a lot more basic everything, and I think you really get to appreciate the amenities that you have around Europe or around where you would live like every day, which is not life changing, but it's definitely eye opening. I would say, like, I appreciate it a lot more. I miss home. Like, if you think you sat at home and all you can think of is, oh, I want to go on holiday, I want to go traveling, I want to go explore, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm out there, obviously, every now and then, like, I miss my family so much, and I've not really gone traveling and experienced any new stuff. Like, whenever I had holidays, I always was like, no, I want to go home. I want to see my dog. I want to see my parents. I want to see my mates. Um, just because you can't see them every day. I
Yeah.
mean, if you work, let's say one of you works in London and or has to move to London, whereas everybody else is staying in Scotland, for example, you can Skype every day, like, or you game together and you team speak or whatever. Like you're always chatting really on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously, if you're living somewhere isolated, like 8,000 kilometers away, that's like it was hard at first. Definitely was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think if you're thinking of getting into marine bio, just be prepared that you might not be able to get in touch with your loved ones and your family and friends every day, just as a heads up.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I think a lot of the modern day advice coming through to people like that are in high stress jobs or find themselves quite highly strung because of
Yeah,
perhaps like money or job security or anything like that.
yeah,
The advice is moving towards a kind of mindfulness, put your phone down, get off social media type direction. And
yeah,
obviously, like you say, Wi-Fi was expensive. You barely ever used it, and
yeah,
after a while, I suppose, after a year out there with that kind of limited amount of internet and communication with other people outside of the 30 you were living with.
Yeah.
Yes, there's got to be a balance. Am I right in saying there's got to be a
Yeah.
balance between
And
turning your social media off, but also having that communication at the same time?
yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like when I was out there, every now and then I like posted something on Instagram. If I had the chance to like steal some free Wi-Fi somewhere at a hotel or at a restaurant or bar or whatever,
Yeah,
updated my Spotify. But that was maybe once a month.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if you think at home, you're constantly getting in new music, you're scrolling through Instagram. Like I got back and I downloaded like 1,500 songs on my first day when I was back. It was ridiculous. I updated my phone. I think I had a 6 GB phone software update that I didn't update for ages, just because there wasn't Wi-Fi anywhere good enough to do it and download that much
yeah,
like data. Um, but then also the fact, like, I think it's quite shocking at the moment. I'm constantly sitting on my phone, just scrolling through Instagram, not really doing a lot. Just I'm on holiday right now, so obviously it's like do whatever you want. But
yeah,
whilst I'm out there, I'm on Instagram maybe like 5 minutes a day, just like quickly seeing if one of my mates posted anything, check the group chat, and then that's that.
yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely changed like how much you use your phone and social media and everything. Definitely.
yeah. Well, I'd say you've earned a bit of time just to sit on your
Yeah.
arse and scroll through Instagram, having been out there for a year and only
Yeah.
it's the same with the group chat that we're in. Like you'd reply every couple of months, and it'd be like 7 different messages replying to like 3 different things that had happened in the chat from
Yeah.
months ago. It's well funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess my next question would be, if you could be or do anything else, what would it be?
Oh. I think, to be fair, I wanted before I went down the marine biology path, I was always fascinated with flying and like becoming a pilot. And I
Yeah,
actually went to these to this training center to see if I could get through this program, which I unfortunately didn't, or luckily didn't, if you want to look at it that way.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I think if I could choose anything, I might want to be a fighter jet pilot because I think there's not much cooler things than flying around in a fighter plane.
yeah,
Like Top Gun is one of my favorite films, and I literally loved it. Either that or being a professional athlete, like a professional footballer,
yeah,
where you take your hobby and you earn like ridiculous amounts of money from it.
yeah,
Which I think would be cool as well. Like you're not having to worry about the next day really. But yeah, no, I'm happy where I am. So I'm not spending too much thought on that, to be honest. But I mean, if who wouldn't be wanting to earn money playing football?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you mentioned, well, firstly, when did you decide that you wanted to be a marine biologist?
So I always was fascinated with it. Like when I was a kid and like growing up, but
Yeah,
I was held back a little bit by as well. I was like, are you going to be able to earn enough money? Where you have to live? Are you going to be able to get a job? Because obviously the field is so competitive. Many people they are just scared of doing that step. But yeah,
yeah,
after I volunteered 6 years ago after school, after I failed that pilot kind of exam when I was like turning 18, I was just doing my A levels. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Like it's definitely the thing. Volunteered, did that, my dive master and everything, and it definitely was. I was like, this is absolutely amazing. Like this is what I want to do, 100% for the rest of my life.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's sweet. That's so good. So
Yeah,
when you kind of changing tack a little bit for this final question,
yeah,
we're nearly done. When you came out of uni,
yeah.
what did you expect was going to happen, and then like how did that compare to what actually happened?
I mean, when I was finishing, so initially I was supposed to do a bachelor's, and then just finish after that. And obviously, you're thinking, oh, should I do a master's? I'm gonna
Yeah,
have better job chances, probably get a little bit of more money afterwards because you have more experience, etc., etc.
yeah,
So it was a lot between should I just go and apply for jobs or should I go and do the master's? And then found out about this whole integrated thing. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna do this master's now. So I had another year then ready to decide. But I straight away I said I need to go back and like just work out there, work in the field, and get that experience. And now, like with that research trip, I think that really for me it focused me on probably doing a PhD. Like when I came out of uni, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna do whatever I want. Like I'm done now. I'm done studying. I'm done with
yeah,
school. I can go and work wherever I want, get
yeah,
this job,
yeah,
and just like get all these amazing experiences.
yeah,
Um, But yeah, now I'm definitely again thinking like I'm almost 25 now, so I'm thinking again it's like probably hopefully do a PhD sooner rather than later. And I actually quite like to go into teaching, lecturing at university, like teaching people, students about it, and hopefully like getting them to think as well, and like getting them to learn a bit of stuff, being interested. That would be definitely something that I'd love to do down the line. Get a PhD in some sort of field, which I'm not sure yet, but I'm still working.
Yeah.
Or trying to work out. Yeah, get the PhD, do it, and hopefully become a lecturer one day.
Yeah.
That's
Sweet.
definitely something that I love to do.
Perfect. That's really cool. It's really interesting to hear, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's a similar situation for me. Obviously, I'm still about to finish my masters,
Yeah.
uh, and then after that, I'll kind of be going into the second stage of becoming a sports psychologist. But I was speaking to
Yeah.
some people a couple of months ago now, down in Liverpool, and they were saying how they did PhDs, and it's opened up doors for them to become lecturers. And actually, the job situation is moving towards lecturers
Hmm.
than like applied sports psychs, because everyone kind of has one now, and
Yeah.
it's becoming less important to have one because you've got the resources that are available, and people are always kind of asking if they can help or they want a job. But the kind of the lecturing side of things is actually quite a good route to go down, because not only you're talking about things that you enjoy, you're also getting paid for it. The pay is slightly better for sports psychology. I don't know if it's the same for marine biology, um, but that's definitely something to think about if you're struggling for ideas when it comes out of uni, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you like studying, I guess obviously once you like your bachelor's, obviously you might have a lot of different aspects of your course as well. There's going to be some stuff that you don't really like, that you're not really a big fan of, and there's going to be other things where you're like, oh, I love doing that. And I think that's where your masters will come into place, where you're like, oh, I'm now focused on this one specific topic that I would really like to research. So for
Yeah,
me, my masters was super easy. Like I was literally loving every day of it because I was like, oh, this is interesting because I'm constantly interested in what I'm doing and finding out new stuff. So I'm obviously hoping that once you will be doing a PhD to become an absolute expert in whatever field you choose to do it in,
yeah, yeah,
for you as well, that's going to be something where you're like, oh, I love to do this. I'm super interested in it. So it's not going to be a bane or anything like school and like uni can be sometimes. It should just be fun, really, learning new stuff and like getting to know new things.
yeah. Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sick. All right. Well, my interrogation is finished. You're in the clear. If you got any messages to anyone that you want to shout out, then feel free to do it now.
Yeah. Well, big shout out to the team, I guess. Whilst we're here, whilst we're at it.
Yeah,
Shout out to the Mad Dogs. Back in Bangor. If one of you guys listening in, we hope we inspired you to do something.
yeah, definitely.
And then anyone like reach out to me, or reach out to Nat. Obviously, get in touch. See if you can, if you have any questions and stuff. Maybe we can do another one, even explaining more things.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, and I think it's a big thing. Like just be interested in everything and learn as much as you can whilst you can. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my final words.
Yeah,
Final words
good,
of
good.
wisdom.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nico, for coming on and being my
Hey,
first.
absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had a great time. This was a really, really good chat. I think I definitely want to get you back on, and I'll get some more questions for you, and we can
Yeah,
be maybe a bit more specific on the different things that you've done.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's it from us. Thank you so much for listening. If you've made it all the way through to the 50-minute-ish podcast that we've just done, um, follow me on Spotify. If you want to download Anchor, you get more updates there. I should be on. Hopefully, I keep saying it, but I really should be on iTunes soon. I don't know, the Anchor app that I'm using normally just pushes it onto iTunes whenever it's ready, but it hasn't done that yet. So eventually, I should be, at least. Otherwise, I'll start chasing people because I really do want to be up there. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed it and it inspired you or kind of satiated your curiosity. I know it really helped my curiosity because I've been wondering what Nico's been doing for the past few years for ages. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone for listening, and I will see you all in the next podcast episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.